Want to learn how to play the Gundam card game? Then make sure to check out this tutorial app. Okay, here we are at the opening screen of the Gundam card game teaching app. First time ever looking at this. Really excited to try this out and see what it looks like. And already it feels super epic with the Gundam here. Yeah, let's just get right into it, guys. And pretty much learn the basics of how this game works. Wow, interface looks fascinating already. Welcome to the Gundam card game teaching app. Let's start playing the game. So yeah, here we're going to learn all the basics and sort of like go through all of this entire tutorial together. So, you know, just in case I can help you guys clarify anything, just in case. Winning the Gundam card game by dealing direct damage to the enemy player. You basically want to take down their shields, put them down to 0, and then make a final attack, and that's how you win. Just like most Bandai card games you guys are most familiar with, just taking down the opponent's life. First, try attacking with your Gundam MA mode. Okay, and once it's attacking to the Zaku, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Damage step. Okay, battle between units. So in the Gundam card game, there's AP and HP. AP is your attack power, HP is your health, of course, and each unit card basically has that. So unit cards are basically like your monsters that you play, and then they battle against each other. You know, there's health individually, and then when a unit goes down to 0 health, it basically gets deleted and is gone. Okay, so you destroy the enemy unit. Next, deploy that Gundam from your hand into the battle area. So we basically play cards from your hand. And kind of interesting how they don't explain this right off the bat, but, you know, let me try to clarify a few things. You know, in order to play a card, you need to use resources, and, you know, there's a resource deck. You probably might go in more depth later on, but I guess we're just going for a quick one where just go ahead and play out Gundam RX-78. And you can strengthen your mobile suit by pairing up a pilot with it. So yeah, the whole idea is to, you know, bring out your giant robots. And when you bring out your giant robots, you can also play your pilot cards and pair them up together. And when you pair them up together, you can give them extra buffs and do a lot more things with it. So we're going to use one resource for this. That's what it means. And then we'll go into here and pair it. Don't worry, guys. I know some of it might seem a little bit confusing, but I'll explain more as we go along as well. Alright, when certain combinations of pilots and units are paired, like Armor Array and Gundam, they become stronger, called a link unit. So other than just pairing, if you link together specifically with, like, you know, just like based on the lore, Armor Array is supposed to pilot like Gundam specifically, you get like additional power-ups and effects, which is really good. And that, I guess it's determined with this rainbow glowing effect. Okay, so it wants us to go ahead and attack the shield. We're going to go ahead and do that. Attack, yep. And basically win the game that way. Okay, yeah, so basically that's the whole idea of the general of the game. But yeah, we're gonna go into more other like basic level stuff that we really need to know on how this works. I know some of you guys find this kind of confusing, but don't worry, we'll get into there just in a bit. So that's just a very start. We're gonna go into tutorial. Okay, it's tutorial number 1 and start. So I think this is where we're gonna explain everything. There's 10 chapters. These chapters will explain the fundamentals of gameplay. Okay, very nice. Certain combinations pilots are paired, like Armor Array became link unit, which we saw earlier. Tap, yep. Okay, so we can actually look at this and look at specifically how it works. So yeah, what a link pair is, first of all, is, you know, when you pair up your pilot with your Gundam, and specifically in this black box area, it calls for Armor Array, and if you do link it together like that, you get that bonus effects. That's basically what happened there earlier. Okay, so now we get to see the actual field and everything, so that's important. So in Gundam, there's the battle area, which is generally where you play out units. There's your deck, there's the trash, anything that gets destroyed gets put in there. There's the resource deck for anyone who's familiar with playing One Piece. That's pretty much essentially the same thing as Dawn. So every turn you get to gain extra resource and put them across here, and then you can use them as your mana and your resource system, basically. And that's how you pay for certain costs to play out your cards. There's the shield area, which includes 2 sections. There's the shield section and the base section, which is pretty much like your health and your life. I think we'll go more in depth, a little bit more explaining on what these both are specifically as we go there, but that kind of determines on how long you can stay in the game, and by depleting your opponents and going for the final swing, that's how you win. Okay, base section, Shield section, okay, you get it shown above. Okay, so they kind of changed the app a little bit compared to the real life card game, just based on the layout for simplification purposes. But don't worry, guys, I'll still continue. So to build a deck, you need 50 cards, and looks like you can't have any more or less. Just like most standard Bandai card games, specifically 50 cards, you can have up to 2 colors of different colors. Right now, I believe there's like blue, red, green, white. I know potentially is purple as well, and yeah, that's at the time of making this video. More colors will pretty much come in future sets. You are only allowed up to 4 cards of the same card number, meaning you can pretty much only have 4 copies of exactly the same card. So that's a play set of a deck. And then your resource deck has 10 cards, which is pretty much, yeah, your mana system there. Place your deck in the deck area, and you shuffle. And then you place your resource deck in the resource deck area, of course, like shown there. But here they're showing it here instead as a number. And then you determine who goes first. Rock, paper, scissors, or die roll. That's what we do normally. And then you draw 5 cards from your deck. So these 5 cards are going to be the starting hand. There is a mulligan system for Gundam, and it's pretty specific as well. So, okay, go ahead. Your starting hand can be redrawn 1 time. This time, keep your original starting hand. Now, it's telling me to keep it, but I want to quickly explain how the mulligan works. You basically, if you don't like your hand, you put all the 5 cards to the bottom of the deck. You draw in a new 5, and then you shuffle, and then you deploy your shields afterwards. So since we're ready, how you deploy your shields, you basically take the top 6 cards of your deck and put them one at a time and stack them put exactly in this kind of position as it's shown here on the app demonstration, and that determines your life. After that, you place a EX-based token card, which is at the very top at the shield area, and it has 0 AP and 3 HP, which is going to be important as it explains later on there too. And then that's basically, yeah, whoever's going second gets an extra resource card, which is really advantageous. And generally, this is kind of like to prevent like, you know, getting too much momentum if you were going to go first. I think it's just like a whole balancing thing overall. So we'll get to see a bit more here. Since we're going first, we don't get the extra resource, so we're not going to start right there. Game ends when either player satisfies the following victory conditions. You dealt battle damage where they have no cards left in the shield area, or your opponent has no cards left in their deck. Now, I'm kind of interested to see how this one works, whether if it's like at the draw phase or instantly do you just win as long as the opponent immediately has 0 cards in their deck. So I'm not too sure. We probably need more clarification on that one in the future. Battle begins. Pay close attention. Progress as you're playing. First phase is the start phase. So during the start phase, what happens? Your turn. So anything that is rested sideways, any cards you first put as active, those who play Digimon and One Piece would probably know this the most, understand this. You basically put everything standing and active them. If something's rested, it's tilted like that. I'm kind of curious why they show it like tilted like this instead of like putting the card entirely sideways like they did prior. Which generally in real life, you just put the whole entire card sideways because tilting it a little bit can be a little bit like finicky sometimes because it can be a little bit confusing. You don't know if it's actually standing or not. But anyways, entering the draw phase, this is where you draw your card. So in this game, if you're going first, you still get to draw a card from the top of your deck right away, which is nice. Okay, add a GM to your hand. After drawing a card, draw phase, that's the resource phase. Resource phase is basically you take the top card of your resource and you flip it over, and that will become your mana, which is your resource that you can use. And in this app, the card will be automatically placed into your resource area when you enter it. Okay, so it's going to show a number right here instead. So you guys can notice that there's 1 card in the resource. And then I'm going to talk about a little bit more there just a bit. Player card from hand. That's basically the main phase. That's what you can do. You guys can notice there's also a level. So quickly to dive into this. For Gundam, you need to, first of all, pay a certain cost to play a card. So here with GM, you can see there's 1 cost. So I need to pay 1 resource to play it. Now, the problem is I can't play this card just yet. And the reason is because there's actually a secondary cost, which is the level cost. You don't need to pay the specific resource to do this, but you need to have at least 2 resources in order to do so. So right here, right now, it says I'm level 1. which I'm not level 2 just yet, so I haven't fulfilled the condition to actually play out this card. So in order to play this card, I need to be at level 2, and you gain a level every single turn, which is kind of like alongside with your resource at the moment. Now the thing is, there's absolutely no card I can really play out. Actually, there is. There is this one card I can play out, but the app's telling me not letting me do that. But level 1 Demi Trainer, because I am at level 1 and I can pay that 1 cost, in theory, I can actually go ahead and start playing this card out right off the bat. But it's already telling me to go into the next phase. So that concludes the basic battles fought in. Next, we'll learn about deploying a unit. Okay, that's fine. Okay, it pretty much explains already exactly what I said right here. The level and the cost. Level is fulfilled if you have 3 or more resources, so you need to have, whether they're active or not, or unsuspended or not, or suspended, you just need to have a total of these resources to fulfill that first condition in order to be even able to play that card. Afterwards, in order to pay the cost, you suspend your resources or you set them sideways, and then you can pretty much play out and deploy a unit. So it wants me to deploy Gundam. Right now it's saying that I have 5 resources. I'm level 5. They're jumping ahead a little bit. You gain 1 at the beginning of your every turn. So right here, I fulfill those conditions, and Gundam is level 4, and because I'm level 5 with 5 resources, I can easily just play this out by using 3 of my resource cards. So 3 of it's gone, that's why it's gone down to 2, and I successfully deployed my unit. Now, just like most card games for Bandai, is as soon as you play out a monster or unit or deployed something out, you cannot attack with it right away. It gets summoning sickness, so you have to wait for the following turn in order to make an attack. But there is an exception, I believe. I'm very sure, but I think it's going to show me later on. But that's like you saw in the very beginning. That's when you link or with the specific armor array together. That's when you gain like the ability to attack right away. I think I'll go there a little bit. Now I'll explain attacking. Go ahead and try attacking opponent's unit. Right now I have a Demi Trainer. It's got 1 AP and 1 HP. So units themselves have health in this game, so you want to keep there, and it wants me to go ahead and attack the EX base, so just by dragging that and attack. Okay, so what that's going to happen is we're going to battle against the EX base. The EX base has 0 AP, so it's going to do 0 damage to us, but we have 1 AP, so we're going to deal 1 damage to them at their 3 HP, putting them down to 2. So that's exactly what happens here. So the EX base is generally like a card that can give you like extra life, which is pretty good, and it kind of like slows the game down into like a moderate pace so that it doesn't really enable like rookie rush strategies where people play everything at really low cost and just spam the board and just keep attacking again and again and again. That's pretty important actually, and I think I like that for sure. So you put a damage counter on it in real life, but since this is a automated like simulator app, it can just show us right there. Let's review attack on a unit. So it wants us to attack on it this time. Let's attack Zaku. So we're going to battle against this card. It's really important to take down your opponent's units during the course of the game to establish momentum, just to, keep the battle situation like balanced out into favor. So, anyways, we're going to go ahead and attack and then we're going to battle. So what happened there was we dealt 3 damage because we are at 3 AP. They have 1 AP, so they dealt 1 damage to us. And because now they're at 0 HP, they are destroyed. Now Gundam does survive this RX-78 because we still have 3 health left. So kind of like Hearthstone for some of you guys who play that before. Units themselves have health, or even Lorcana as well. Who's explanation on attacking? So far so good. Attack with shields. Okay. Sling attack, effects, and shields. Okay, it wants us to attack the enemy player. So with the Zaku, it has the effect of gaining AP plus 2 during the turn when it attacks. So that's pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So it looks like this time it's going to be instantly going to deplete the EX base down to 0 health, which will completely just remove and destroy it there. So that's the whole goal. You want to take down the opponent's EX base first, and that's when you get to start attacking their actual shields and start depleting their health and start achieving your win condition. So now we can go ahead and attack the shield right here, and we'll go ahead and do that. So this is currently a base. We're attacking the shield area. When they receive damage, every shield only has 1 HP. So as long as our unit has 1 AP, we can pretty much go ahead and destroy that shield no matter what. And since it's gone, it doesn't have any AP, so it's not going to fight back or anything. And I think this is where it differs to like Digimon and One Piece a little bit. In Digimon, you would have like a security battle. It doesn't happen here. And then in One Piece is that they get to add the card to hand. But in Gundam, it's kind of like a mixture of both. So the card that you kind of attack and shield just goes straight to the trash. Unless if it has like a burst effect, which means it can sometimes do things. And that's like the same as like a trigger for, you know, in life, or whether in Digimon it will be a security effect, whether of adding it to hand or activating a certain effect and so on. So that's kind of like how it works right here. But otherwise, once that is over, the card goes straight to the trash. And no battle happens. Explain pilot cards and link units. Begin by deploying Gundam from my hand. Okay. So we have five resources with level 5. It wants us to go and do that. I think this is where we're going to get to showcase how actually linking works. So because the unit can't attack, we deployed, which I mentioned earlier and talked about. This is where we want to go ahead and pair it with a pilot. And this is like the biggest like booster combination that you can have in the current game at the moment. And it's going to tell us to go ahead and pair Amuro Ray into Gundam. So by doing that, we want to go ahead and do that. And this is considered a link unit because we fulfill the specific conditions of having Gundam link with Amuro Ray. The thing you can keep in mind is that any pilot can actually pair up with any Gundam in the game. But because we have met the specific conditions of Amuro Ray with Gundam, we can see right here, it asks for that black box test, which is kind of small here. You guys may not be able to see, but hovering on top of my mouse, you gain those extra bonus effects, which is really good. And the main bonus effect is actually being able to rush and make an attack. Or they call it link, so they can go ahead and attack that same turn. Generally, when you pair with anything, you still gain this, like, all your units gain extra AP1 during your turn. Nice. And then when paired, you get to rest down a unit that's 5 HP or less, which is this. And then we're going to go ahead and rest it. So that means we can attack over it now because we linked together. Now, keep in mind, if you don't link specifically the same pilot that it kind of asks for, you won't be able to make that rush attack. So I guess in other words is that Earth Federation, this one fulfills it. But let's just say I had like Kira Yamato, which is a completely different like pilot. And if I link there, I wouldn't be able to attack here. So again, specifically because it asks for Amuro Ray, link written right here. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so we battle, we have more AP, we have more HP, so we're definitely surviving this. And we only take 3 damage. Okay, nice. Well done, nice. Okay, concludes explanation of pilot cards and link cards, and then talk about burst effects and base cards. Okay. A lot to learn about in the first part here already. Explain burst effects, which I talked about earlier about the shield thing just now, but now it wants us to actually attack and show us. So we're going to attack into their shield, and just like before, it only has 1 HP. We take no damage, and it's just destroyed. And then we'll reveal the card first, and it has a burst effect. So to look at burst effect is basically this yellow kind of like key-coded keyword here. Which means when it's being attacked from the shield, it's like a trigger. So it'll activate that effect. And it says deploys this card for the specific one. So that's a EX base card, which plays and replaces the EX base that it originally had. If there was no EX base originally, then you place it here at the top. Regardless, then you add the top card of your shield to your hand. Which I'll explain more in detail why that kind of matters as well later on too, but now we're about to do it. You see, now we don't have an EX base card. Now, sometimes in this game, having cards in your hand is really important, and there's not a lot of cards with effects that draws you cards, aside from your only like once per turn draw. And you don't add cards from your shield to your hand when they're being like attacked into. But by playing a base card from your hand, you get to add that shield, the top card of the shield, into your hand as if you were drawing a card to gain some momentum. So with this white base card, we have to pay 2 costs with level 3. So we'll go ahead and do that. It has its own effect, which can pretty much play out a token, depending on how many bodies we have on the board. So we can go ahead and use it. The nice thing with that is, with these base cards, I want to quickly show you guys, is that they actually have higher health. So every shield is only 1 health, but EX base has 3 health. But then with this big base, you have 5 health, which is really good to help you keep like longer in the game with like not being like taken down that quickly, so you don't lose as fast, which is a nice one there too. So we get to play out the token. This one plays out a gun cannon token, and here they are just kind of like showcasing their little extra stuff that you can buy from the starter decks coming in with that little like figurine. That's kind of figure that's kind of cool. Okay, who's a base burst? Nice. That's about it. Explain blocking. We'll begin with opponent's attack. If you guys play card games, you might be pretty familiar, but for those who don't know, blocking is like when the opponent attacks you with their certain units or monsters or whatever they have. You can, if you have another target, or if you have a unit that has specifically the blocker ability, you can redirect the attack and kind of like block the attack instead, and change the target so that in this case, where the Zulu right here wants to attack into our Gundam. Now we can see based on the statistics, we're gonna lose our Gundam right here. They're gonna trade 1 for 1 where they're both gonna get destroyed. And Gundam's a really strong card that we want to keep as long as we can. So because we have a blocker here with Zavort, we can stop the attack. And we go ahead and declare block when they attack. And then by sacrificing this, we get to keep our Gundam alive, and these 2 units end up battling instead. And as soon as both our HP reaches 0, we're both destroyed. Yep, go straight to the trash. Nice block. Okay, prevent a Gundam from being destroyed. Yeah, it's really important to decide when to use blocks in the game. Really nice. They have a log here as well that kind of like shows what what happened during the course of the game, so you can always refer back into. This is nice. This is really nice. I gotta say, like, this is a very, very nice base that Bandai created to work off of, to potentially even have a simulator in the future that we can play against people online and all that kind of stuff, just like Digimon Legion, which I'm really excited about. If honestly, like, yeah, if this comes as well, this will be fantastic. Anyways, play thoroughly damage. So we talked about unit cards, base cards so far. There's another type of card in the game, which is called a command card, which also talked about pilot cards. But a command card, this is also a pilot, I believe, because it looks like it gives like bonuses effects as well. So there's 2 ways to use this card. First of all, we can use like a command. A command card is like a spell card or like an event card or like an option card for Digimon and One Piece references. But for this one, yeah, you can either also use it as a pilot, I'm pretty sure, because it gives you bonus statistics to pay 1 to slide it underneath your unit. So it just wants us to straight out use it as if it was a command card. So yes, we're going to use it. We get to deal 1 damage to an enemy unit. And we're going to go ahead and do that. Takes it out. And because it has 0 health, it's destroyed. Now there's action steps. For those, again, who play One Piece and Digimon, for Digimon, it's kind of like the counter phase. For One Piece, it's also the counter phase. So for Digimon, that's when you can blast Ace. For One Piece, it's like when you counter with like your additional like powers or DPs to match and sort of like stop attacks and so on. Opponent attacks your Gundam. Now for Gundam specifically, a action card is kind of like a hand trap effect kind of thing. So it's almost like an ace card. Now, in order to use one, you actually need to have like active resources during the opponent's turn or during whenever the opportunity that you want to use it in order to pay the cost to use it. Try using it. Okay. So so the unit's going to try to attack into us. Obviously, our Gundam RX-78 is going to get deleted or destroyed in this case. But if we use the unforeseen incident card during this moment, we can give something AP -3. And then I guess we put it here. We want to use it, and we can. So we guys saw that the resource went from 5 to 4 because we used one of it. And then now we paid for it, and then we can go ahead and select the unit. It has 0 attack now. So looks like the action step ends when defending player and the attacking player passes twice in a row. So this is when the opponent attacks, the defending player gets to use the priority to use a card first, and then I believe the attacking player afterwards gets to use one, and then you continue to the next step, which is the actual damage step. But yeah, so now that we use ours, it's the opponent's turn to use one if they want to. But it appears they have nothing that they want to use. So now we go into the action step once again returns to you, but there's nothing you can do either. So pass and move on. That's interesting. That's really interesting. Feels like a little bit complicated at first because I'm still trying to get my head around this one a little bit. You know, how many times does it keep going, right? Like, is it one at a time and you build chain links on top of each other, one at a time, back to back? But anyways, here in this case, so we managed to take down the Zulu because it has 0 attack and it has 2 health. We have 3 attack, so we counter them in that sense. Play brilliantly, concludes the action steps. You play an excellent game, finish attack, deliver final blow. So yeah, you want to keep attacking opponent's shields until they are 0. And once they're down to 0, you use a unit to deal with the final attack. And if they have nothing to stop you at that point, you simply proceed and win. Damage step. Yeah, and then we win here. Okay. That's a lot of different basics, but yeah, the fundamentals you need to know as well. Try playing tutorial 2 next. Okay, let's go ahead and do that as well. Learn about keywords, more specific keywords to, like, I think depending on the colors. Tutorial 2 explain 5 different effects that don't show up in tutorial 1. Okay, start with repair. To jump a little bit ahead, repair is kind of like recover, where like it has an ability where your Gundam can heal its own HP. So there's action step, end step, hand step, and then cleanup step. When your main phase ends, you enter your end phase, which progresses in this list below. So action, if there's anything that wants to play. So it's pretty interesting because at the end phase, you can still activate like an action card or like a hand trap during either player's turn to do something. And then there's the end hand. That's when you check the hand and then clean up. Okay. Step, command cards. Yeah, that's exactly what it's saying here. So we're at the action step, and then now we get to use the repair. Okay, so we get to gain 2 back. And then now we check hand. In this game, there is a hand limit of 10 cards. So if you have more than 10 cards, you're going to have to discard your choosing until you have 10 left. And then once that's done, you're fine. You enter the cleanup step, which I'm not too sure what happens here in the cleanup step usually. Okay, since repair, it loses effect in this cleanup step. Oh, I see. So you lose any like kind of like continuous buffs. Okay, that concludes repair. Yeah. So Gundam has RX-78 has a ability to heal its own health, which is really nice. High maneuver. Okay. High maneuver is basically a keyword or mechanic that prevents your Gundam from being able to be can be blocked. So your opponent won't be able to block you when you attack with it. We'll show here right away. Wants us to play this unit. Go ahead and do that. Pair a pilot card. So we're going to pair that. And this is also considered a link, I believe. And then now during pair, it gains high maneuver. This unit can't be blocked. I should have said that earlier. It's way easier to explain. And then now we get to use a special effect because when we, during pair, gains high maneuver during your turn, destroy. Okay, we get to do damage, but we also get the pilot effect right here. When paired, you get to deploy 1 Neon Xeon from low floor or lower from your hand, which I suppose should be for free, right? Oh, we just click on it. Yeah. We click on it. Yeah. So this is for free. And then, okay. So this guy can't attack here, but this guy can because we are linked. And then we're going to go ahead and target the white base. They do have a blocker, but that's what high maneuver does. It prevents you from being able to, the opponent from being able to block. Yeah, exactly. But high maneuver effect, so blocking isn't possible. So with that, we're going to deal 7 damage to the white base, which has 5 health. Base cards usually deal 0 health, as we saw earlier, and this is just going to outright destroy it. And that means we can get access to their shields and start depleting their actual life and start winning again. Oh, we also get to tap on a card and use the effect afterwards, because during your turn, when this unit destroys an enemy shield area card with bow damage, choose one enemy unit and deal 2 damage. That's pretty powerful. Nice, nice, nice. Nice, that's high maneuver, block, and then now we'll learn about support. Lots of keywords so far, lots of keywords. All right, Gaza D. What does this do? Support 2. Okay, let's go ahead and use the skill. Target body effect. Yep. So active, support 2. Rest this unit. One other friendly unit gets the AP of, I'm pretty sure it's this card, on a specified amount during this turn. So it's kind of like Alliance for Digimon, but it's not during an attack, it's during the main phase. So you can kind of like combine the powers first before you actually declare an attack. It's pretty interesting. Okay, resting AP friendly unit. And that's basically it. Okay, so we just power up like a Gundam there. Okay, Breach. This one's also very similar to Piercing in Digimon, but it has a little bit of differences, which again, I believe it's going to explain here a little bit as we go on. So we're going to play up Aegis, which has Breach, and then we would definitely want to pair up the pilot, and I believe it's going to be Athenzawa, and by pairing up with Athenzawa, we specifically will get the Link effect, Link unit, so then we can now rush and attack this turn. I keep saying rush because like it doesn't say rush specifically, but you know, rush is usually just a term that we use. I think both in Digimon and One Piece. Yeah, I think One Piece as well. Meaning that we can attack right away. And that's a huge deal in Gundam. Because you can instantly get a lot of momentum. Okay, so now we're gonna see Breach. I did say it's gonna be similar to Piercing. So we're gonna attack into this. We're gonna have 4 AP, and we're gonna take that down because it only has 3 HP, and it's gonna have 4 AP, attacking, battling against our 6 HP, which we are gonna survive the attack and take down that unit right there. So nothing happens here in the action steps. So we take down their Gundam Sandrock. So what happens after we take down this Gundam Sandrock? Now Breach is, like I said, Piercing. It will deal Breach 3 damage into the opponent's base. What that means is that it will instantly just deal 3 damage once, and because the EX resource here has 3 health, it will just deplete it down to 0. Now Breach 3 doesn't mean it will deal 3 shields afterwards. Let's just say hypothetically if there was no EX base there, it won't take out 3 shields. You know, it's just one singular damage, and it's usually just to like indicate like to battle against bases that have health on them. Because if you take out 3 shields right there, that would be way too OP. way too OP. The other thing that didn't really mention is that Breach, different to Digimon, normally in order to pierce or breach, your Digimon needs to survive the battle. But for Gundam, if I'm not wrong, I believe that Breach still happens if your unit is destroyed during that battle. As long as you take down the opponent's unit, Breach will happen no matter what. So that's a very important difference to keep in mind. Now explain the first strike. Okay, first strike, start with command card. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Yep, let's use that here. Choose one friendly unit, level 2 against first strike. While this unit is attacking, it deals damage before the enemy unit. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, so let's go ahead and use the command card. Yes. Give it to this. And try attacking the enemy unit. Okay, let's go. So in this battle, we would normally trade 1-to-1, right? Because we only have 2 health and have 2 AP, so they'll take us down. We'll also take them down at the same time and trade. But I believe with first strike, it gives us the ability to deal damage before the battle actually happens, which is kind of cool. Normally, but yeah, exactly. But first strike deal damage before the enemy's attacking. So what that means is like we deal damage to them first, and they won't get a chance to actually deal damage to us. Therefore, we win this battle, and it's important because normally it would have been destroyed, our strike dagger, but now it gets to stay on the board. So that's pretty good. So that's all about the card effects that we learned. Try playing without any guidance, free play mode. and see what we learned so far. Okay, so we're not going to go into free play mode because we'll go on to that with the next video instead. And yeah, so that wraps up for all the basics of the tutorial, what you need to know about the Gundam card game. In the next video, I'll cover the free play mode where you get to see me play a full game from beginning to end with advanced tricks and tips. And I explain more other things that the tutorial didn't really cover in my perspective so that you guys can learn more and how to win your Gundam games. So if you guys want to see more Gundam content here on the channel, make sure to let me know in the comments down below. Make sure to subscribe, turn on that notification bell, and give this video a like. And I really appreciate the support. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. You guys have a great day, great night, wherever you are. And I'll see you in the next video. This is AVAULT signing out.